Good evening, bedheads. Click. I am just a mover and a shaker, aren't I? Doing an evening bedhead video. How are you guys today? All right. So, I think I wanted to have a conversation for Tina. Tina, we've got you. Okay. So, we have a community member, and so she needs our advice. Okay. And my well, I don't know if advice is the right word. She needs our thoughts. Let's put it that way. She doesn't need our advice. She just needs, what is your experience? Okay. And then she's going to, if she sees this video, she's going to read the comments and feel what feels right to her. All right. And her original message may be the right thing for her right now. And we're going to let her sit with that. Of course, that's why we're not going to do advice. We're going to just say, hey, in my experience, this is that's happened to me. Okay. And then hopefully it'll help other people too, and myself as I read your messages as well. Okay. So Tina writes, excuse me. I just want to vent about SGs. I did the prayer, then asked yes, no questions. I did the law of challenge where you ask 3 times if they are of the purest and highest light. I was trying to get help with something. I even asked if they were lying and they said no. I asked the same thing. I ask the same thing and they always say no. I don't think they lie. They gave me an answer to my question. I followed what they said. I got the complete opposite result of what they said. Then I asked them again if they were lying to me, and they said yes. I thought if we did the challenge and asked for them to tell the truth, that I would get a truthful answer. I must be the only person with evil SGs. Oh. There's a part of me that wants to giggle. There's a part of me that wants to cry. There's a part of me that wants to give you just a huge pat on the back or a huge hug because I get it. I've been there. But Tina says, won't be asking them anything ever again. Okay. So we have a spiritual crisis going on. And this is Tina. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this, because this is really helpful for the community at large. All right. And I asked my SGs for the community, what if I were going to pull some cards on this topic, what would they encourage? And lo and behold, the card deck that keeps falling out of my 50, I think I have 54. I think I've said a 60 before, but I have about 54 decks. Guess what fell out? The letting go deck. Okay. And the letting go deck has a journal with it too, which is amazing. Okay. So we're going to pull some cards on that. So let's just talk a little bit about Tina's experience. All right. And all I can do is share from my own experience. So this has absolutely happened to me, not with the law of challenge, and we can talk about that, but there have been many times. I've been using my dowsing rods for 10 years plus, whatever, 8, 10, I don't know how long. I really need to go onto Amazon and search to see how long I've been using them. Like when I bought them. And there's been plenty of times where they gave me information that I thought I was interpreting correctly. That's the key, I think, that I thought I was interpreting correctly, or I thought I was asking the right way. And I felt like they weren't telling me the truth too, or they told me, then the opposite would happen. Okay. And so the question is, why does that happen? So that's the first question to the community. Why do you think that happens? Because this is community I think that I wanted to really have a community discussion about this. So I'm just going to, this is truly facilitating where then like I'm throwing the questions out. So why do you guys think that happens? So please let myself and Tina know. Okay. I mean, I have my experience, but I want everybody to share their own experiences too. And I think, that feeling of like I've put them away for a while after that happened too. I've put them away for a while, for many months before. The most recent, now I just say you're on a timeout if I get irritated, And the most recent, boy, my sideburns are really, or something's flying. The most recent was the election, obviously, where they had said Miss Harris was going to win, and we weren't doing the law of a challenge then. I only learned about the law of challenge in March of 2025 when we were reading The Golden Future. So in the Spirit Circle, we have this book series that we were reading in The Golden Future. So whenever you join, you can always go back to this. Excuse me, we're going to put together a small little sales page for that too, in case people don't want to join the circle, but you could still participate with our discussion. So that'll come out sooner than later, probably in the next month or so. But in the Golden Future, she talks about Jesus having 33 spiritual laws. One of them is the law of challenge, where you should be able to ask 3 times, in the name of Christ, are you of the purest and highest light? They are required to give you an honest answer. So if you say it 3 times, if they say yes, then they give you an honest answer. Now, just to clarify, Tina, so what that means, in my opinion, I'll let the community tell you their opinions about this as well and their experience. When you do, are you of the purest and the highest light? What you're doing is making sure that whoever's giving you an answer is of the purest and highest light. That doesn't necessarily mean the answer is going to be, so if they said now they lied to you, then, which is interesting that they said that. We'll come to that. But asking the law of challenge, in my experience and my view of the law of challenge, is that it's just making sure your communication is, you're not talking to a trickster, basically. You're not talking to someone that's of a lower energy, So that has, I've never used it in the sense of, now I will get the answer. I will get the highest answer, basically. So I separate those two. I've never thought of the law of challenge as being the message. It's about the messenger. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does. I mean, you would expect that if you are, the messenger is of the highest and purest light, that you should be able to assume that the response will be of the highest and purest light, which I do agree. Yes. But I would separate those two. Okay. In case you haven't, maybe you did, but doesn't sound like it in here, but you might have. Okay. So the question is why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why do we get responses? So my first thought would be, Tina, is to farm out, especially if you have a pendulum. If you have a pendulum, you can get much more direct answers. Okay. So what I would do next is ask them why, if you have a pendulum, because then they can tell you more directly, they can spell out the words, So that would be my next question, is why did you lie? if that's what they said. I mean, if you ask them, did you lie? And they said yes this time, why? And see what they say. Or if you don't have a pendulum, use oracle cards and see what messages you get. Okay? Because what I do know, and I know it's challenging and I know it's freaking irritating. I get it. Like, I understand you're like, I'm never asking them again. I get it. I get it. So I think the lessons here for me, which is really helpful to process this situation, is twofold. One, we're just asking for some guidance. We have to take responsibility because we have free will. We have to take responsibility for what we do with the information our spirit guides give us. Okay? So you're giving them your power by saying you followed them and they were wrong, but you did choose to do that. Okay, so again, not blaming at all. And Tina, this is a case study, so thank you for giving me the case study today. Because this is all of us. This is all of us. All of us. Sterling, Linda G, whoever you listen to, this is all of us. We all experience this. So this is nothing unique to you, Tina. Trust me. So, number one, I think we all have to take responsibility how we use information we get from our spirit guides, okay? Because we have free will, so we've chosen to follow their lead. And we have to remember that we don't always ask the right questions. And when I do, and I know this for a fact, because when I get on Zoom with my sister Marcia and we talk to the SGs, she is very good at helping me see when I don't, like if I ask a question and I interpret it a certain way, or the results are different than what they said, she always comes back with, but this. So she sees more than I do, which is amazing because she's an S and she's a sensor. Myers-Briggs. I talked about that this morning in Coffee with Karen. I'm not going to talk about it now, but so she sees, well, maybe because she is the sensor, that she can see the detail different. Yeah, that's what it is. Because sensors see detail differently, information differently than intuitives, big picture people, big picture personality in the Myers-Briggs personality type. So if you're an intuitive, Tina, it might be harder for you to really see the detail of what you're asking, right? Whereas if, like I said, when I'm talking to my sister or later, I'm like, but they said this. And she's like, yeah, but they also said this. And so she remembers all that detail. And every time I thought they were wrong, when her and I would have a conversation with them, then it turned out that actually they weren't, because she had a different view. And that's the challenge when you're only doing it by yourself, right? That's the challenge. Whereas if you worked with a friend and you guys always worked together, and especially if you had an intuitive and a sensor, if one of you were intuitive and one of you were a sensor, Myers-Briggs type, that would be amazing because you guys could hear that information differently. But I know that's not always possible, right? So I'm just saying there's more going on here than meets the eye. So, like if you and I were to have a conversation about this, of course if we're both intuitives, and that might be, I mean, you wouldn't get as much, Anyways, so my second thought is, okay, so the first thing is taking responsibility. I think when we're working with our SGs, we have to take responsibility, okay? Which means, I mean, I asked them yesterday if they were lying. I mean, why do we even ask them that? I believe 100% they don't lie. I don't think they're capable of it, okay? But I do believe they're going to tell us what is in our highest and best interest. So for now on, anytime I ask a question, I always request that. And that's what I would, if you lean on, when you ask your spirit guides a question, if you say, please respond, that's in my highest and best interest and the highest and best interest for all, which is, that's, if you do that, then my understanding is that we're avoiding, what we could do is make sure that the karma that comes with whatever we're asking and how it involves other people, that we're not getting mixed up in other people's karma and delaying their karma, which causes karma to come back to us and all this kind of stuff. That's a whole karma conversation, which I'm going to be talking about more and more because I'm fascinated. So the more I can read about it, the more I'll share on here, but in the different perspectives. So I definitely always, that's what I would encourage everybody to do, is just ask what's in my highest and best interest to know. So now, Tina, if you thought back to their response, if you spent some time now, even before asking the pendulum, if you had a pendulum, before asking the pendulum, why, what else were you trying to tell me? Then think to yourself, if they were telling me a message that is in my highest and best interest and the highest and best interest for all involved, because depends on your circumstance or whatever you were asking about, were there other people involved? Try, and this is a perfect time for journaling, what do you call that? Just stream of consciousness journaling, okay? Because you can get an answer, stream of consciousness journaling, which you could get that's called automatic writing also, where you can get some answers from your guides just for a stream of consciousness, letting clearing out your consciousness and letting, your guides write through you. So that would be my question, rather than giving up on them or putting them, you can put them in timeout. I would put them on timeout rather than say, well, first of all, your SGs are not evil. That's not, cut, clear, cancel, cut, clear, cancel. Okay. So right now, cut, clear, cancel that energy. Okay. You don't want that energy, but I know you're mad. I get it. I've been there. Timeout. They're on timeout. That's okay. Put them on timeout. But what you're really doing is putting yourself on timeout, because this is your higher self working with you. I mean, and so the lesson is for you. It's not for them. They're on the higher realm, The lesson is for you. So what is the lesson? What is the lesson here? Is the lesson not to trust them? You can choose to go that route. I don't think that's what they want you to get out of it. Is that would them not, okay, so then you say, what's in my highest and best good? What's the lesson that's in my highest and best good? That's another way you can ask that. And is the lesson that's in your highest and best good to never trust them again? Is the lesson that's in your highest and best good to think that you have evil SGs? Cut, clear, cancel. So all things to think about, right? So the question is why do we ask them if they're lying? So I think I'm going to stop doing that, like I just did yesterday. Are you telling me the truth? So I think that's interesting, like why we assume that they would lie. I think there's a lesson in that for ourselves. What's the trigger there? Why are we mistrusting? Because this is all, lately, I mean, they've been telling us, do the inner work. Do the inner work. And I know we're looking for easy answers. That's why we ask the SGs. instead of doing our own work. So if your SGs gave you a response that was in your highest and best good and the highest and best good for all, how might that change the way you're thinking about it right now? I'd be curious to know if that helps at all. So let's pull, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? And this is perfect. I love, Tina, that you shared this, because this is exactly what we're doing here. There is nobody here that has all the answers. Nobody is God. God is the only one who has all the answers. So we're just in a playground. We're just in a playground here on Earth, exploring, and it would be really interesting 5 months from now, depending on, because you said that you were trying to get help with something, you made the decision based on what they told you, and it sounds like you're mad. I mean, it sounds like it didn't turn out right. I think you said that. So it didn't work out. So it will be interesting 5 months from now if you can see like, oh, this was better. This was better. So what they told you to do may actually be exactly what you needed to do to make the situation. I don't know, but it will be very fascinating. I have so much faith now. Like, I just have chills, actually. I have so much faith now that I know that to be true, So, and maybe I have so much faith now because I'm doing the inner work now, This is a relationship with your spirit guides. Your spirit guides aren't there to give you answers, like just to say this is what you need to do and this is how you're going to do it and follow exactly what I say, because that's not what they do. They're here to give we got to develop a relationship with them. That's really what it is, And yeah, there are people, like if you listen to Sterling, which I will, if you're wondering who Sterling is, he's a psychic medium. I'll post his video in the description below. But if you're wondering, yeah, he does get direct answers, but they're not always right. And it's not about right or wrong. That's the thing. It's not about right or wrong. I think somebody else had posted something. Yeah, like somebody had said that, like the videos we did with the spirit guides about Anonymous, I saw somebody's comment about that they worked with Anonymous and everything we said was not true and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, every time I hear that now, it's 4 months ago when I first started, 5 months ago when we started the channel, I would have been horrified by that. But now I'm like, okay, because I don't believe there's a right or wrong. What if they're right and what if the SGs are right? I just don't, I think it's way more mysterious than that. I don't want to use the word complex, but I think it's way more than we can, and our minds want a strict answer, yes or no. But, and that's because it makes us feel better. We have more control. I think if we work on letting go of always needing to know what's coming, always needing to predict, always needing to be right or wrong, it's impossible. Haven't you noticed? Haven't you noticed that not one thing stays the same ever? We got to let go. We got to let go and just go with the frickin' flow. That's the only way you have any sanity. You go with the flow of life and you take inspired action. And you follow what you're inspired to do. You're inspired to do, and you try to keep the judgment of what other people are doing as low as possible, because that's just an internal war that you have going on in your head. because there's no right or wrong. We keep saying, we're always trying to find the right and wrong in everything. And what I'm understanding about karma, which is why I want to get into karma, is that there's always a balancing going on. There's always a rebalancing going on for everything. So, Tina, what they told you was what you needed to know at that time. Why what you needed to do was what you did, you know. The question is, what would you have done without asking the SGs too? Would you have done the opposite? So there's a lesson in there too, you know. And many times my sister and I, when we've been having SG conversations over the years, one of us would say, yeah, well, they'll tell us something. And we'd be like, yeah, well, I'm practicing my free will, you know, and we do the opposite. And then sometimes that was good and sometimes it wasn't, you know, because this is about us. This is a relationship with them, but it's really about the journey you're on. It's not their journey. It's the journey you're on. Okay, so let's see what we get here. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, and all of those of the purest and highest light. And I ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel so it is only of the purest and highest light. Amen. So I'm waiting for this picture from coffee. Oh, there it is. Oh, geez. It's give me Google eyes. I've been waiting for a picture to generate for Coffee with Karen this morning. And yeah, that one's better. Finally generated. Okay. So I'm going to ask for a message to, again, I'm always going to try to remember this. They just plopped one down. Oh, we had that one. Yeah. It's the same message they gave us last week. It's interesting. There's another one. You guys, please, collectively, I'm calling on the collective, all of the spirit teams of anyone who's watching this now and in the future, for messages about this topic that is in our highest, best, and good to know, and for the highest and best of others, of all. Okay, so let's just see if they have any more. These are fun cards because you can just, there's a whole bunch of things you can just think about. There's not, a whole book you have to read out of. Okay, you guys, did we get the cards you want to communicate with us today about letting go? Okay, are there any others in the deck you want me to pull? Nope. Do you want me to read all three? The one on the right, the one in the middle, and the one on the left? Okay, so yes to all of them? Okay, yes. All right, so let's see. Letting go, letting go. The best thing is to know how to let go. Boy, the more we go with the flow in life, especially right now, and again, don't misinterpret me. It doesn't mean not doing anything. It means taking inspired action. Okay, whatever you're inspired to do. Okay. So again, this is David R. Hawkins, the Letting Go deck. I guess there's a book. I think there's a book. And then this is based on the book. And then the journal comes with that. I mean, you have to buy the journal separately, but okay. I will link those in the description below if you're interested in taking a look. So our higher self, which we might say is the composite of our higher feelings, has almost unlimited capacity. Our higher self, which we might say is the composite of our higher feelings, has almost unlimited capabilities. It can create employment opportunities. It has the power to create the opportunity for loving relationships, financial opportunities, and physical healing. So I don't know, I'm not really intuiting this message for this conversation, but somebody here might needed to hear that. So let us know. So our higher self, which we might say is the composite of our higher feelings, I have to think about that, has almost unlimited capabilities. It can create employment opportunities, opportunities for loving relationships, financial opportunities, and then physical healing. Okay, this one. I just caught a glance of it. Oh, Tina, this is directly for you. Oh my God. It's okay to be annoyed. That is part of being human. Oh my gosh, you cannot make this shit up. Oh, that's funny. The key is to let go of being judgmental of others, preferences, or feeling prideful about your own as the right way. Accept that all relationships have their ups and downs. You have to have a sense of humor about the human condition itself and its seeming contradictions and paradoxes. So, was the lesson from your SGs helping you understand this message? Seems like it. This, Tina, and for anybody else who's mad at their SGs right now, first remember this, and then take a picture of this and sit on it. Do some journaling about that message. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and so we got this the other day. Every life experience, no matter how tragic, contains a hidden lesson. When we discover and acknowledge the gift that is there, a healing takes place. I mean, part of the experience for you, Tina, was the annoyance of it, the not trusting, the having to even ask, you know. The fact that they said, when you asked, did you lie? And they said yes, that part I don't really have anything sitting in me to give you any of my own thoughts about that. But others will. Others here in the community will. I'm not sure why they would say that, but what I would do is pursue that further. That's where I would go with that, is pursue it further, either with more questions with the dowsing rods, the pendulum, or the cards, you know? So, okay, well, this was fun. Thank you for the case study, Tina. And I hope you all had a nice Easter if you're celebrating it today. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.